what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a horror anthology film, Still, Part 2. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The first story begins with the girl Ant alone in her work office, working overtime when someone texts her, saying that her boyfriend is with someone else. Shortly after, her boyfriend repeatedly calls her, but Ant always shuts her phone, ignoring him. Then the photocopier machine suddenly produces numerous copies, even though she is done using it. Ant checks it, and finds these weird copies of hair, each paper revealing more and longer hair. This creeps out Ant enough that she decides to leave the building. As she gets in the elevator, she hears a woman's voice asking her to hold the door. Ant lets the door open and waits for the woman, but no one appears. She even checks the floor, but it is empty. Ant immediately closes the door and goes straight to the parking lot. She looks for her boyfriend's red car, but the guard informs her that her boyfriend has not been in the building. So although it is late, Ant decides to commute as she is angry with her boyfriend. She goes out, and fortunately, there is still a commute van waiting for passengers. As she gets inside the vehicle, her boyfriend calls again, but Ant does not answer it. She texts him, saying that she knows he is cheating on her. Ant finds an unlisted number texting her an online sticker of a woman with long hair, hiding her face in her palms. She cries as she checks her messages. Ant checks out the passenger, and nervousness strikes again, as she sits beside a woman crying. Ant dismisses it, and instead listens to music with her earphones. Ant unconsciously falls asleep during the ride. She soon wakes up when she feels the van has stopped. She immediately checks the van and finds herself alone inside, so she goes out only to see they had stopped at the side of the bridge. Shortly after, she finds the driver, who informs her that he checked the tires as they were a bit flat. They soon return to the road, but Ant cannot hide her uncomfortableness. As her paranoia strikes, Ant takes a couple of pictures of the road and the vans inside and sends them all to her boyfriend. When he checks them, he finds a picture of what seems to be a woman's ghost beside Ant. Meanwhile, Ant's worst nightmare is about to begin. She finds a red yarn on the seats, so she pulls the string to her, unaware that a student ghost is holding onto it on the other end. Then she receives a text from an anonymous person containing a live photograph of her. Ant immediately checks her behind, as the photo is taken behind her. Then the anonymous texter repeatedly sends her the same online sticker of the woman crying. Freaked out, Ant transfers to the seat beside the door and calls the driver's attention to pull over. However, the driver keeps driving, and Ant finds herself sitting on top of the woman's ghost. Ant quickly gets back to her original seat as a flashback plays, explaining their relationship. The ghost beside her is actually her boyfriend's girlfriend. When he meets Ant in the parking lot, he begins to cheat on her girlfriend and gives all this time to Ant. They do not know that they are being cheated on by the same guy. As their relationship crumbles, the girl breaks up with the guy on the same bridge and gets inside the same van. Then later that night, her bad luck hits hard. The van falls off the bridge, killing all the passengers and the driver. Ant screams frantically, thumping on the windows, calling for help as the ghosts corner her. However, no one hears her screams for help, and soon the van falls off the bridge. Nevertheless, Ant surprisingly survives the crash with no injuries or wounds. She crawls out of the van, but the anonymous texter still sends creepy online stickers. Ant tosses her phone on the road, accidentally finding a chalk outline drawn on it. Ant's confusion soon turns into a realization as she gets hit by her boyfriend's car falling off the bridge. The story ends with Ant's lifeless body, precisely fitting the chalk outline. The following story begins with two bachelors, Nong and Big, getting inside a hidden brothel with the help of their friend, Bank. The panderer and her pimp welcome the group, and give them an exclusive view of the finest women in the brothel. Upon seeing the young and handsome faces of the newcomers, the panderer flirts with her customers. However, they are not interested. Bank asks for number 16, so the panderer leaves her customers with her pimp while she goes to the back. Soon after, a gorgeous woman in red joins the lineup, causing the newcomers to be fascinated by her beauty. However, unlike her coworkers, number 16 obviously does not want to be in that brothel. Bank informs his friend that she was the girl he hooked up with yesterday. The men pay for number 16, and they all go to a room to hook up with her. However, Bank has a different plan. It turns out, number 16 reveals that she and her sister were forced to work in the brothel, and now Bank will help her escape. Bank tells them to wait before leaving with number 16. They check the hallway, accidentally getting in trouble as the pimp finds them. They immediately lock the door and pretends to be gay men, hooking up in a brothel to cover up for Bank and the girl. However, the pimp is not that dumb to see through their lie. The pimp instructs his men to cuff the bachelors, but instead his men cuff him with the bachelors. They suspect the pimp being the bachelor's accomplice. The pimp tries to make them realize that he is a pimp of the brothel for a reason, but his men refuse to listen to him. As his men leave, one of the bachelors receives a text from Bank asking them to help him and go to the sewer at the back. The pimp takes the bachelor to the back, where they find the sewer open. The foul smell immediately welcomes them. They have no choice but to go down to help Bank. As they get down, Big opens his cell phone flashlight to see. However, they find something beyond their expectations. They find numerous corpses, one of which is the rotten body of number 16. They also find Bank's corpse among the dead, so they immediately get out of the sewer. However, they see that the brothel has become somehow abandoned as they look around. Big remembers that the brothel was featured on a ghost show, so they try to find the way out, but instead witness scenarios that explain everything. Bank and number 16 get caught and are killed by the Pandarer's men. Number 16 even bites off the Pandarer's face to fight, but her attempt is useless. After them, the pimp gets killed, as someone sees him taking money from Bank, meaning that he is indeed their accomplice. The scenario ends, but the pimp is still not convinced he is dead, so Non takes a picture of him and shows him that he is dead. The bachelors scream in horror and try to remove their cuffs from the pimp. However, the dead Pandarer scares them even more. The Pandarer corners Non and gives him a disgusting smooch. The pimp vomits on Big's face from disgust as the Pandarer molests Non. They quickly drag Non away and return to the front, where they find a ghost customer dominating a ghost prostitute. The trio dismisses it and walks away when number 16 suddenly attacks the pimp from behind. The bachelors simultaneously punch number 16 in the face, knocking her out. Then, Bank comes out from the back and slices off the pimp's arms, freeing his friends. They immediately run outside and lock the door. The pimp tries to open it, but he has no arms. For a dead man himself, the pimp is stupidly afraid of his kind. The story ends with the bachelors running to the exit door when someone grabs them. The third story begins with a hot couple checking into a motel in room 15. They engage in a rough moment. However, the guy gets rougher, so the woman takes the telephone beside the bed and beats him with it. She immediately runs away to look for help, but the guy quickly catches up to her. He kicks and chokes her before pushing her off the stairs, breaking her bones and giving her a quick death. The scene then changes to a hot and tattooed musician checking into the same room. He opens the AC before getting into the shower. Shortly after, he hears someone banging on his door, so the man checks who it is. However, he finds the hallway empty, so he relocks the door and finishes his shower. As he dries himself in front of the AC, it suddenly stops functioning. He tries to open it again, but fails. So he goes out to report it to the front desk, but there is no one there. He then hears a woman screaming and asking for help from the front desk telephone. The man listens to it until he hears the static. The man dismisses the weird yet creepy things happening and returns to his room, only to find it a mess. As he begins to clean up, he feels someone passing by his room. He immediately goes out thinking that someone is messing with him, but there is no one. He slowly returns to his room, only to be terrified as the woman's ghost shows herself. He stumbles from the shock and fear when he calms himself down. The woman has vanished, and he still sleeps in the room, despite the creepy things he experienced. Later that night, while he's asleep, he wakes up to the sound of someone trying to open his door. He still tries to get back to sleep, dismissing his paranoia, but the woman keeps bothering him. The lights go out, and he sees the woman standing in the corner. He immediately crawls out of bed, but sees the ghost's hand coming out of the AC. He promptly takes a flashlight and flashes it around the room when the woman suddenly attacks him and chokes him. A flashback plays, explaining why she's haunting him. As it turns out, the tattooed musician sees them checking into room 15. They exchange quick glances and go on with their business. Soon after, the tattooed musician hears her screams, but he listens and does not do anything until it is too late. Back to the present, the woman chokes him before pushing him off the stair, killing him the same way she died. The story ends with a flashback playing, explaining what happened to her. After killing her, the guy drags her body back into the room and hides her in the AC, causing her body and soul to be trapped in room 15. The last story begins with a Buddhist monk named Nant finishing his prayers. Elsewhere, Nant goes to hang out with his two friends. Nant confesses that his girlfriend is dead. He says that he and his girlfriend had a fight the night before she died, and when the morning came, he found her lifeless body on the floor. He clarifies that he did not hurt his girlfriend and is confused about what happened. He adds that her corpse has been in his trunk for 2 days because he had to hide and take her away as her body began to smell. As Nant's car is parked outside the house, this creeps out his friends. Then, Nant stands up and asks for their help to carry something. They follow him outside, where there is a big box just in front of the door. The two carry the heavy box and follow Nant's lead. Blood drips underneath, but they are unaware of it. Soon, the girlfriend's tied and beaten up corpse falls from the box, causing the two to freak out. They shiver and scream in fear, but Nant calmly puts her body back in the box and ties clothing on it, ensuring that she will not fall again. At the house, Nant dreams of his last moment with his girlfriend. They are in bed, spending intimate time with each other. However, it soon turns into a nightmare. There's a bloodbath on the floor, and the girlfriend is gasping for air as there's plastic over her head. Nott wakes up and looks for his friends. The lights suddenly go out, and Nott feels a rocking chair rocking by itself behind him. He turns around and finds an apparition of his girlfriend sitting on the rocking chair. She quickly vanishes, so Nott returns to searching for his friends. He finds one of his friends downstairs, sitting by himself. Nott calls his attention, but the friend raises his hand, holding a cutter, and slices off his gum. Fear is written on the friend's face as he knows that someone else controls him. Nott quickly goes upstairs and takes the car keys when the other friend calls his attention. The guy walks towards him, but instead, Nott sees the ghost of his girlfriend. Nott promptly runs downstairs, only to find his friend crying as he pulls out a hook from his tongue, which creates a long mark on his tongue, causing excruciating pain. Creeped out, Nott runs outside when he runs into his friend. Nott beats him with a rock on the head to check if he's real, but the friend blacks out from the attack. Instead of helping his friends, Nott abandons them. The morning comes, and Nott takes her body into the woods, attempting to burn it. However, he gets attacked by her ghost. Nott runs away, but he carelessly injures himself, causing his bone to come out from his elbow. Nott screams and gasps in pain, but he endures it and walks away from his girlfriend. But then he hits a branch, injuring himself again in the stomach. The night comes, and he's still in the woods. The girlfriend finally shows up and drowns him in the mud water. After that, she covers his face with a piece of clothing before repeatedly punching him hard. A flashback then plays, revealing that Nott punches his girlfriend to death. He wrapped plastic over her head and repeatedly punched her face, tainting the floor and the plastic with her blood. The girlfriend does the same thing to him, and then pierces his face with a stick. Nott can only scream and fall from so much pain. Although injured and beaten up, Nott still puts his girlfriend's body on fire. Another flashback plays, explaining how their love turns into a tragic ending. Nott discovers that his girlfriend is pregnant, but he is not the father, it is someone else. It turns out his girlfriend is a prostitute, but Nott accepts her for who she is, and has abandoned his monkhood. This pushes Nott to the edge that he does not care if he kills her. He is too mad and hurt, because he gave up everything for her. After watching her body burn, Nott drives away from the woods when the girlfriend suddenly shows up and breaks his windshield. Fortunately, the medic arrives on time, saving Nott from the car accident. However, the police discover the box in his trunk. So after aiding his wounds, Nott is arrested and placed in a prison cell. The story ends with an apparition of the girlfriend still haunting Nott. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.